Hello everyone, it's Pandora Brown, Family Advocacy Program Manager, and today is video 3.
That's right. I can't believe we've gotten to video 3. And by the way, I'm Kim Tizer. I'm the Family Advocacy Program Assistant.
Yes, and today we're going to talk about when life feels out of control. And as promised, we're going to talk about what we can do when life feels that way. Last week we talked about change, which can be perceived as good or bad. But either way, it can present us with opportunities when we're open to it.
That's right.
But what about when change comes and we feel completely out of control?
I know. And we probably all felt that way at some point in time. And speaking of being out of control, I want to share this quote that I came across by author Steve Maraboli. He wrote in his book, Unapologetically You, Reflections on Life and the Human Experience, which I haven't read, by the way, so I can't endorse it. But he said, the reason many people in our society are miserable, sick, and highly stressed is because of an unhealthy attachment to things they have no control over. I'm going to share that one more time, and I really want you to hear it. The reason many people in our society are miserable, sick, and highly stressed is because of an unhealthy attachment to things they have no control over. And think about that. People become very stressed over things like having grown children, for instance, that are making poor decisions, or the stock market, or I don't know, the fact that there's no toilet paper on store shelves. I mean, you think about it, there's so many things, all of which that, we have no control over. And that leads to what? Worry. And we know that worry can lead to ulcers and other health issues. So what are we to do about it? Because we all face this. We all face worry. Well, you know what? Pandora has some suggestions.
Yes, Kim, one thing that we have to do is take inventory of what's good in our lives and what we do have control over. It's not a bad idea to sit down with a pen and paper and write down as many things as you can think of. It might be as small as, I keep a clean house. I acknowledge people's birthdays and anniversaries by sending cards. I get to talk regularly on the phone with the loved ones I love. I actually had an opportunity to celebrate a birthday during this pandemic, if you will, and I had several people to call me days later to say, oh my goodness, I missed your birthday. I was so engrossed with watching what's going on today that I missed it. And I appreciated the phone call, but take time out. I'm sure you can probably think of somebody now whose birthday may be within the near future, and just recognize them. Give them something else to think about, and give yourself something else to reflect on. At some point, I mentioned earlier in our videos that I wrote a book. I said, and at some point I'm going to share a poetry with you, and the whole point of the book, it's a therapeutic tool. When you hear the poetry that I wrote, you'll be able to reflect on some things to get you started and to really think about what was in my head at the time when I actually wrote the book. So I promise you, at some point, I'm going to bring that in, and we're going to share that.
I like that.
Yeah. So you can take a dog or your neighbor's dog for a walk. The point is, get outside and get some fresh air. I'm amazed and happy to share, Kim, that I have been walking for the past week. I've just been getting out with the kids, and we've walked up the street and came back, and I'm on my phone. Everyone, if you have those certain smartphones, it'll tell you how far you walk. So I know that I've walked 1.5 miles, and it hasn't even felt like it. It's just been good bonding time with the kids.
And I'm sorry, I'm over here trying not to laugh. I'm still thinking about walking a dog or a neighbor's dog if you don't have a dog. I've been trying to convince my husband that now would be a great time to get a dog.
Yes, the kids are trying to convince us, Kim, to do the same. And I'm not one that would. Yes, exactly.
And Pandora and I stay in touch. And yes, often when we're talking about how we're getting ready to go for our walk.
So it's been nice. So I'm sure like me, you have a lot of books at home. So sit down with a good cup of your favorite tea, and even if it's for 15 minutes, just sit down and pick up your book and take advantage of the time that you have. If your world feels out of control, do a good deed. Go and help people whose life is probably just as crazy as yours, if not more challenging. Just yesterday when I went on my walk, I noticed some people in front of my house, and they had some bags and picking up things, and I'm wondering before I reached my home, what is going on, you know? And I went up there, and believe it or not, these individuals, it was a mom, a dad, and a son, and they had their dog with them, and they actually were picking up trash, and they said they were just doing a good deed to keep the earth clean. Just yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, so, you know, it's unfortunate now that we're outside more. A lot of you are probably experiencing what I'm experiencing. What are you doing out in front of my house? You know, because we're not used to walking and getting out, and a lot of us not meeting our neighbors.
To stay 6 feet away.
Yes, that's
okay.
right. Yeah, and again, this video may come across a little challenging, but we are staying away from each other. Yes, we're staying away. Yes. So,
well, Pandora, you have shared some really good ideas, and I would add just a couple more. And one is to limit your time on the internet. If what you're reading or absorbing triggers those feelings of being out of control. I know I can be a news hound, and I will surf the net and look at news stories, and let's face it, most of it's negative right now, even though there are plenty of stories, if we're willing to look at them, about good deeds that people are doing and how neighbors are coming together. But if you're looking at the negative stuff, it's time to get off. Also, it's important to remember, and I think I've touched on this in a previous video, no matter what we're going through, the pandemic for one, no matter what it is, to remember that it's not going to last forever. It will be over. And my grandmother used to always say, this too shall pass. And it will. So just keep that in mind.
That's right. And lastly, if you're in a tough spot, there's no shame in getting professional help. Many counselors and therapists offer help over the phone and through video conferencing, so you can still continue to practice social distancing. We're going to give you some recommended resources attached to this video. We also want to just let you know that General Perna, just this week, I believe it was yesterday actually, he said how important it is to stay in touch with your coworkers and check in with your family. And so we want to make sure you do that today. If you haven't already, then go ahead and reach out to someone that you haven't talked to in a while. Thank you, and remember that we're better together.
That's right. We are better together, and we're in it together. Thank you again for watching, and next time we'll talk about something important that involves self-care.
That's right, self-care.
In the meantime, have a good one. Bye-bye.
Yes.